versus naive or sophisticated. So the use of commitment devices indicates sophistication, because a commitment device is a strategy for like overcoming your future self-control. So if you know the story of Ulysses and the Sirens were these three beautiful women who sang from the rocks of an island, the name of which I can't remember, but it's right across some body of water from a rock called Charybdis. And Ulysses had been told about these sirens who would lure sailors to their death. Their song was so beautiful that you couldn't resist, and once you heard it, you would just sail straight into the rocks and die. Okay? Ulysses was determined to hear the song of the sirens and not die. So what he did was, he had all of his sailors put wax in their ears, so they wouldn't be able to hear the song of the sirens, and then he had them tie him to the mast of the ship, so he wouldn't be able to steer into the rocks. So he basically disconnected beta from the choice-making mechanism. Right? He made a set of choices at time 0 that committed to him to a path of consequences from time 1 on. Right? So the decision-making mechanism at time 0 was Ulysses. The decision-making mechanism from time 1 on was the sailors, who could either steer into the rocks or not, but he disconnected them from beta by putting wax in their ears. Okay? Freezing your credit card. If you go online and type in self-control savings or self-control spending, you will get freeze your credit card in the first 3 or 4 hits. Okay? The idea being that you then have to wait for your credit card to thaw out before you can go and engage in compulsive spending, and that during that period of time, not that you can't wait that long, it's that you think better of it during that period because you feel like an idiot sitting there chipping the ice off your credit card. I would argue that voting in favor of Social Security for many middle-income people is an indication of sophistication. For above a certain threshold of incomes, Social Security is a redistribution program, and you will not get back as much as you put in. Which means that voting in favor of it either means you don't realize that, and FDR would prefer that I not have told you that, because FDR explicitly made it so that middle-class people would vote for it even though it was redistributive. If you vote in favor of it, even though it's going to return you less money than you put in, it suggests that you know you're going to have a self-control problem with respect to retirement savings throughout your earning years, and you want to be forced into saving something for your retirement, even though you're actually losing a little bit of money in the process. Because you know that if you were given just like a totally privatized system where you either put it in or don't, you wouldn't put it in. Okay? So I claim that voting for Social Security for most of us in sort of higher income brackets or above sort of median, I don't know exactly where that cutoff point is, suggests that some sophistication with respect to our self-control problem. My own research led me to look at whether online gamers perhaps were exhibiting some kind of sophistication. If you give people, so I and a co-author came up with a field experiment where we took people who play online games and we gave them 2 different kinds of commitment device. One where you decide in advance how many rounds of the game you want to play and then it cuts you off, and the other where between rounds you have the option during the game to cut yourself off after 1 more round. Right? If you've ever played a short game, my Achilles heel was web boggle, which is around 3 minutes. I was always going to stop after 1 more round. Raise your hand if you've done this. 1 more round, 1 more game, 1 more game, 1 more game. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, 1 more game, 1 more game. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I'm not going to do a problem set. It turns out that there are people who won't use the pre-commitment device because they don't get it, but they will use the in-game device because they get it once they're in the game and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. And there's other people who will use the pre-commitment, so we think that that's a distinction between people who are naive and people who are sophisticated. Misprediction of future behavior typically we think indicates naivete, because this is people who think that they're going to behave well and then don't. So for example, teenage smokers who predict that they'll quit in 5 years actually have a lower probability of quitting in 5 years than those who predict that they won't quit. Right, so the ones who think that they're going to quit in 5 years are naive and they don't actually quit, and the ones who are sophisticated know that they'll quit, but they won't quit. Gym members who predict that they will attend several times a week but then don't, which is another field experiment that I have conducted with a different co-author. Or people who will pay a lot of money for a monthly gym membership and then not go, even though they could have bought a daily pass for less, right, than the cost of the membership divided by the number of times they go. That's a paper by Stefano Delagino and Ulrike Malmondier that's very famous and very wonderful. Online gamers who don't bind themselves but use what we call the 1 more game button. There's this button, if you go and play Web Boggle today, there's a 50% chance, depending on what time zone you're in this week, or what week it is in this time zone, that you'll get a 1 more game button. And between each 2 rounds you can click this button and say, that 1 more game, but I know by now I won't stop after 1 more, so you stop me. Okay. The answer matters a lot, whether you're naive or sophisticated, both in positive terms, because different assumptions about beliefs will result in different predictions about behavior, and also very radically different normative conclusions, because different assumptions about beliefs will lead to different welfare analysis. If you didn't know this was going to hurt you, if you chose not to use a commitment device because you were naive, then we're going to reach a different normative conclusion than if you chose not to use a commitment device when you're sophisticated. Okay. Now let's do some problem solving. The unpleasant task, the problem set. What does the naive student do? So let's just recall the perceived cost of doing the problem set at different times. At time 0, the perceived costs, right, how you actually feel about doing it in different time periods, are like this. Period 1, not this. Period 0. I don't want to do either. Oh dear, I pressed the escape button. Can I just get you to go away? No. Okay. This is annoying. I have to go. Okay. There. So the naive student, these are preferences. They're the same for either student. Don't discount the current movie. This is the instantaneous utility of next period's movie, but I'm going to discount it to this. This is the instantaneous utility of the Johnny Depp movie, but I'm discounting it to that. In period 1, the perceived costs will be, I won't discount, right, this movie's gone. I either went or I didn't, but it's gone, because it's in the past. I won't discount the period 1 movie, but I'll still discount the Johnny Depp movie. So we call this, like, we can think of this as like the beginnings of a table of instantaneous utilities or a table of discount utilities. So how will the naive behave? So at time 0, the naive prefers to do it at t = 1, right? Because 3/4 is the biggest number here. Is that right? No, it's the smallest number, sorry. So they believe they'll do it at t1, okay, because they don't get that in fact they're going to change their mind at t1. So that means, and that t1, so they won't do the problem set in period 0 because they'll think, I'd rather do it in period 1, and I will do it in period 1. Then at period 1 they change their mind because 3/2 is not bigger than 5/4, and all of a sudden 5/4 is the smallest number here. Okay? So they'll put it off 1 more round and wind up missing the Johnny Depp movie. Okay? So by repeatedly procrastinating 1 period of time, each time doing a little bit of harm, they wind up doing the maximal amount of harm. Okay? Precisely because with each round she believes she's causing herself only a little harm. Okay? So we say that she's overly optimistic about her future self-control and it gets her into trouble with an unpleasant task, with procrastination. Now what happens with the sophisticate? The sophisticate, this is all exactly the same. These utilities, these are preferences, that's all preferences. The preferences aren't different here, only the beliefs are different. At time 0, the sophisticate prefers to do it at t = 1, but she looks forward to t = 1 and to consider whether or not that's a realistic option. Okay? Whether that's really a plan that's available to her as a realistic choice. She realizes that at t = 1, she will not stick to this plan, will wind up doing the problem set at t = 0, and as a result, she takes doing it in period 1 off the table. She takes it out of her choice set. She's now choosing from a more limited set of plans. The naive is choosing between do it now, do it tomorrow, do it the next day. The sophisticate sort of winnows out the unrealistic choices from her choice set and no longer thinks about whether or not she wants to do it in period 1 because she knows that's not a realistic option. She just compares doing it in times 0 to doing it in times 2. And she realizes, oh my god, even with discounting, I know Johnny Depp is hot enough that I don't want to miss that, so I'm going to do it now. Okay, so to eliminate the worst case scenario of missing the Johnny Depp movie, she does it at time equals 0, even though she currently wants to put it off one day. Looking back, she'll be glad that she did this, but currently she does this reluctantly. So she realizes that if she delays a little, she'll delay a lot, so she reluctantly does the problem set right away. Looking back, she's glad she did, but at the moment at time 0 she's a little bit reluctant, but she does it strategically. Okay? So we say that she is pessimistic, but she's correctly pessimistic about her future self-control, and this causes her to eliminate unrealistic plans. Now, from the standpoint of problem solving, the most important thing in this part of the course is that you understand this concept of removing unrealistic plans from the choice set. What she does, technically, as you'll see in greater detail in the next couple of slides, is she uses backwards induction, which you learned about in game theory in 100A or 101A. She uses backwards induction to figure out what her future selves will do, based on what her future selves know her future selves will do, and thereby is able to rule out unrealistic, invalid plans, and then she chooses her current favorite plan from among the ones that are realistic, from among the ones that she'll actually follow through on. Okay, so let's see that in action, actually in a couple slides. So this helps her. With the unpleasant past, this is good for the sophisticated. Yeah? So to be an indifference? Oh, you know, anytime you're going to deal with indifference, you have to just make some assumption about how, like a coin flip or something. Economists like to ignore indifference for the most part, knife edge case, because the probability that she's actually exactly indifferent is negligible in reality. People always, and so if it's important, when you're setting up a model, if it's important to know how people make choices about indifference, you just state it in the setup of the model. You just say, oh, she chooses randomly, or she always chooses the earlier one, or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Why doesn't she create some kind of commitment device? Give me an example of how you do that. Yeah, and then what do you say to your friend at time 1? Get out of my face. You know, I mean, unless your friend is the government. Like you say, as I say at the end of every month, take 10% of my income and don't let me take it back. And they're saying, okay, really, we will give it back to you, but at a massive penalty for early withdrawal. So unless your friend is like either the government or the mafia, there's a good chance this is going to unwind. Now, there are different ways, right? You can pay me to program your computer to give you a device that actually cuts off WebOgle when you get to a certain point in time, right? Or you could call up some government regulator and say, could you please make it illegal to sell me a computer game without this device installed? My professor has this clever device. Could you please make it law? But so there will be ways. But in some sense, this is you could think of this as a strategic commitment device. I will commit to going to the Johnny Depp movie by removing a future harmful option from my choice set. Things are different when the task is pleasant as opposed to unpleasant. Right? So I talked about things that have immediate cost, long-term payoff, investment goods. Now we're going to look at things that have an immediate payoff, long-term cost, sort of temptation goods. Okay? So here's a mirror image scenario. This is also taken straight out of the Donahue-Raven paper. The student has a coupon allowing her to see a movie in exactly one of the 4 periods. And for some bizarre reason, she can't go to any other movie except with this coupon. Okay? So now there's 4 periods, 0, 1, 2, 3. The value of the movie is now 1, 3.5, 9, 4, 27, 8. These numbers are not randomly selected. They're very, very carefully chosen to demonstrate the point. Okay, and same student, beta equals 1 half, delta equals 1. We're going to ask ourselves what happens to the naive and the sophisticated. So seeing a movie is fun, and it gets more fun the longer she's willing to put it off. That's totally contrived because we just ordered these movies, right? Fair, good, great, Johnny Depp. But there are lots of things that actually look like this, okay? Where did I put them? Oh, I put them later. Well, I'll tell you now what I think. So saving for, one of the classic Dick Thaler examples is keeping your wine in your cellar and not drinking it until we will drink no wine before it's time kind of thing, right? So the longer you put off the temptation of drinking it, the better it gets, until it turns into vinegar. Leaving your money in your savings account until it gets big enough, right? As opposed to just like, well, I saved it for 2 periods, I'm going to go skiing. No. Save it for 100 periods and then retire. Or 50 periods or whatever it is. And then you can ski all the time. Okay, so we want to know when our impatient student will go, and so not surprisingly, it depends on if she's a naive or sophisticated. Now we're going to get fancy on the technology here. Okay, a table of discounted utilities for either the naive or the sophisticated. Right. So here are the instantaneous utilities. I just imported them from the previous slide, and the ranking is straightforward. Right. 3 is best, 2 is next, 1, and then 0 is the worst. Right. So the wine gets better with age. These are all Johnny Depp movies, but he's just becoming a better actor over time. Then we want to know from the perspective of different time periods, what are the discounted utilities? Okay. So from the perspective of period 1, from period 0. The question over and over again, and you can fill these in very easily, is, well, you should be able to, but foolishly I haven't actually done it. So from period 0, she doesn't discount this one, she does discount this one, she does discount this one, and she does discount this one. So what happens to the ranking? Which of these things is now biggest? So 3 is still the biggest and 2 is second biggest, but now 0 is actually bigger than 1. So there's a preference reversal. Okay. From the perspective of time 1, the first movie's off the table, of course. She's not going to discount, she's not going to discount movie in period 1, but she's still going to discount the other 2. So now what's the ranking look like? Well, 3 is still the biggest, but now 1 is bigger than 2. Okay, 3 halves is 12 eighths, bigger than 9 eighths. From the perspective of t equals 2, these two are off the table. She's not going to discount that, but she's still going to discount this, right? And so these numbers are all carefully selected so that you get this one period of time preference reversal. And so now the preference is 2 is the biggest and 3 is smaller in prospect. All right, so what does a naive student do? In period 0, the naive student plans to go in period 3 because that's the biggest number there. I mean, that's the one that ranks first. So she resists temptation at period 0. At period 1, period 1, she still thinks that she's going to be, she doesn't foresee her discounting, so she still thinks that she'll go in period 3. So she resists temptation at t equals 1. And then at period 2, she caves in. Okay? So so with the unpleasant task, we talk about procrastination. With the pleasant task, we talk about, and I think that this is a word that Donahue and Raven may have invented, she pre-procurates, a horrible word. She pre-procurates. She does it too soon by 1 period. Okay? As before, At period 0 and period 1, she's overly optimistic about her future self-control. And as a result, it actually benefits her, right? It helps her. Because she says, no, I'll do the right thing. I won't cave. So it's worth not caving now. Okay? Now this is where I should have filled things in. What do we have? 1, 3/4, 9/8, 27/16, and it's 3, 2, 0, 1. And then 3/2, 9/8, 27/16, and it's 3, 1, 2. And then 9/4, 27/16, and it's 2, 3. What does the sophisticate do? She looks ahead. Now the convenient thing about the naive, by the way, was that once you know what the naive wants to do in period 0, you can assume that she thinks that's what she'll actually do. Once you know what she wants to do, you can assume she thinks. You can't make that assumption with the sophisticate. The sophisticate does this. The sophisticate says, looking forward to period 2, this is backward induction. At period 3, it's all fixed. If she hasn't gone, she's going to go. At period 2, she still has a choice. She foresees that in period 2, she will cave in. Okay? So that means that going in period 3 is no longer a realistic option. Right? So she's going to take the Johnny Depp movie out of her choice set. Okay? Then she's going to roll back the clock, backward induction, looking forward to period 1, that's here, knowing that her period 1 self will have already ruled out period 3, the Johnny Depp movie. She's only choosing between doing it now and waiting 1 period, and she's already got the preference for reversal kicked in, so she's going to cave in period 1 and go to the not-so-good movie. And that means that she's now going in period 2 is now off the table as well. That's an unrealistic alternative, right? Because it won't actually happen. So she takes that off the table as well. Her choice set, standing here in period 0, having done this backwards induction, her choice set has been now reduced to only plans she'll actually follow through on. Now we know she gets to choose, and she'll stick with, because the only plans that are left on the table are plans she will stick with, realistic ones. So now we get to assume that whatever choice she makes in period 0, she'll actually stick with, because she's ruled out all the ones she won't stick with. Okay? But the problem is that she's already got a preference reversal, so she'll just go right away. Okay? So what's going on here is, at time 0, knowing that T2 and T3 are unrealistic, she goes right away. She is once again, she's correctly pessimistic about her future self-control problem, but in this case it hurts her. She does the maximal amount of damage to herself by pre-procurating through several rounds of backwards induction. Okay? As a general principle, and you can cogitate on this as you're looking at the problem set, if future misbehavior raises the cost of current misbehavior, then the sophisticate will do better. Sophistication will help out. But if future behavior lowers the cost of current misbehavior, then sophistication hurts. So in this case, sophistication lowered the cost of caving in round 0 because you knew that a Johnny Depp was off the table. Okay? With the unpleasant task, sophistication raised the cost of current misbehavior because you knew that if you didn't do it now, you would miss Johnny Depp. And Johnny Depp wasn't really off the table, so you went ahead and did the problem set right away. Okay, and now I'll let you go, and I believe that gives you enough machinery to do both problems on the problem set.